Welcome to CandTCollectibles MC. Hope you're doing well. All right, FanGraphs recently made some changes to their calculation to their FanGraphs wars, mostly on the defensive side of things. Stat nerds ever rejoiced. We said, "Hey, what a cool thing! You're updating a few things that we've maybe had some issues with," and then we slumped our shoulders and said, "All right, back to work here. We got to redo all of our freaking numbers that we've worked so hard on. Can't just add year by year." To what we did, we've got to redo almost the whole thing here. So, briefly, what happened, and there's a link in the description to the article so you can get a better sense of what they have done. They have replaced a component of their ultimate zone rating, the component range, and replaced it with StatCast fielding runs prevented. They feel that StatCast brings a little bit more data to the table, and the more data they can use, the better their projections or more calculations will be. This is retroactive to 2016. So fortunately, we don't have to go back too far, and players that had monster years before 2016 will be unaffected. So with that said, there were 49 individual seasons since then that changed by more than one win for a particular player, and there are 14 players during that time whose WAR has changed by more than 3 wins. And so today we've got 5 of the biggest beneficiaries of the most relevant names. I mean, you've got in the list of names is in the article, all of them, but some of the more relevant names, guys that are on the Hall of Fame track per se. I've got those here today, and we'll just discuss a little bit about what has changed. And as you can imagine, when you're talking about ultimate zone rating, for the most part, you're talking about largely infielders, maybe some center fielders, but players that are being shifted around. These are the ones that typically have the most effect. And so you're going to see a lot of players that shift, middle infielders, some third base. But those are the ones that are going to be affected the most in this one because they're moving around the most with the shift and everything like that. So, again, a couple of center fielders, but didn't move the needle a whole lot. And we'll start off with Carlos Correa, who has gained a win in this process. So his biggest jump was in 2018. He gained 1.9 FanGraphs WAR. He also lost 1.3 FanGraphs WAR in 2016, but overall he's gained nearly a point. And you can see he was on a pretty good trajectory to start things off with, and now it's been enhanced just a little bit. Some of these flatline areas here he's recognized more for his defense and got a nice bump here. So that's enough to straighten this line out. His trajectory is good. He is above the line, a player that I've liked for a while, and like even more now that he's a Twin, even though he's put up -1 WAR for the season. I imagine that will change, so just stay healthy, brother. So anyways, comfortably above the line, tracking really, really well. This doesn't move the needle a whole lot. It just kind of takes out some of these swings. This little slump right here just straightens it out, and it's right on track to where he was. 2020 didn't even happen for him for the most part here. So moving on to Alex Bregman. Before the transition, he was sitting at about 22 wins above replacement. This is a player that in 2018-2019 was worth over 8 wins per season, and looking like a surefire Hall of Famer. You look at that trajectory. And then we had 2020 where he played part of a season, and then 2021 where he got hurt. But he's been productive when he's been on the field, and he's on the field this year. And he's doing it again, picking right up where he left off, and he gained a couple of wins in the process here. So you can see that this line started out a little bit slow, but because of defensive adjustments, it's now a moonshot. And so what we're looking for here is, can he finish this season at 5 or 6 wins? He's already up over a win, I believe. This will put him right back on the line and right back on the track. And for him, it's really just about health. So he's got this elite plate presence, and he speaks English better than me probably as well. So plate presence where his strikeout and walk rates are in the mid-teens. He's capable of 30 home run power. He's a 280, 290 type hitter, and so that's what you're looking for if you can do that for a period of time. And so he had this nice trajectory, flatlined the last couple of years. Not his fault. Also not his fault. It was an injury type thing that happens from time to time. But with the new defensive calculation, we're looking at moonshot, and he's hugging that line a little bit closer. So he's benefited from the new calculation. Nolan Arenado needs no help for defensive metrics, but because he's so good, he's going to get some anyways here. So he gained 3 points. This is one of the 14 players whose total career WAR moved by 3 points or more or less than 3 points, and so his legacy total was 35 and a half, 35.4 wins above replacement, and now he sits at 38.5, and just because of his defense, it's so generational. Really, anything you get from hitting is kind of a bonus, and well, he's hitting really well at the same time. So, tracking extremely well. And with the adjustment, he was able to touch the line, the longer-term trajectory here, and he's matching it. So really, for him, it's about longevity. Can you just do what you're doing and keep tracking on this line? You know, the 5 platinum gloves, 10 gold gloves, whatever it is. That'll be enough of a tiebreaker if you're able to continue to track this line, get upwards of, call it 55, 60 wins above replacement. Does that in the longer term? WAR is trended lower, and so the average Hall of Famer, 65 WAR at the third base position. I don't think that's really going to be the marker going forward. If you're able to get close to that, that's probably good enough. And then with his accolades on the field, that should do it. So again, he is helped by this calculation. Francisco Lindor also helped. He got a little bit of a bump for last year, so they liked his defense, even though the hitting wasn't much. And this year, it didn't look like under the hood. Didn't look like there was much in his control that was going wrong last year, and this year's kind of showing that, which is nice to see. And so he had a nice trajectory, above the line type player, and with the adjustment from 31.9 wins up to 35.2 wins, and so he's gained over 3. It's really kind of streamlined this. It's really straightened that out and given a bump in recent years. His biggest jump was last year, where he gained 1.5 points of FanGraphs WAR. You can see that's where this trajectory has accelerated just a little bit in recent years, despite the plate troubles. And so 2019 also 1.2 WAR, and so again, that trajectory is just really kind of straightened out here. So above the line type guy, and I think he's showing this. He's rewarding anybody who bought in the off season, saying last year, not a Lindor year, probably not his fault. He should probably be rewarded now that he's putting up over a win, and he's a top 10 type bat at least, and we know what his defense is. So 3.2 wins added overall, which is helping his elite level trajectory. And one of your biggest winners, it wasn't the biggest win, I think like Nick Ahmed or something like that, but we're just trying to talk about some of the more relevant players here. It was Javi Bias, whose defense has been pretty underappreciated. And he's going to get recognized for that a little bit more in this new calculation. His legacy total was 17.5, and his current total is 21.5. So he was able to gain a little over 4 wins or whatever. There's a discrepancy in here. When you get to doing WAR, it actually goes into tenths and hundredths of a percent, and sometimes these things don't add up perfectly, but it's just the FanGraphs number. I'm not going to dig in too far and figure out where the rounding errors came in, but I'm just going to round and go with it. So his biggest jump overall was 2019. He gained 1.5 points of FanGraphs WAR. So I'm wondering if they'll go back even further. It seems like some of these guys are really benefiting from this. Are there players in the maybe like Evan Longoria, who was such a great defender, 2008, 2009, between that 2016, could he get a little bump? He could benefit from it. So I wonder if they'll go back and do this a little bit further. So we shall see. Anyways, 4.5 wins added overall. So got a little bit of a late start, started tracking, doing really, really well. But then fell off, and not his fault again, 2020. And he started to diverge from the path. With this addition, he's a lot closer to the line, and so not a player I would for me, not putting a ton into. He's just off that line enough. But if he plays, for him, it's a longevity thing. You can think, what if you continue playing at your current level, and you're able to do that up until into your late 30s or something like that? That could really help him. So still off the track, but this bump is fairly significant for him. Brings him a lot closer to that longer term Hall of Fame WAR trendline type thing. And we'll wrap it up with one of the bigger losers in the whole thing, unfortunately, a player that I like a lot, Xander Bogaerts. So his legacy total is 31.7 wins, and after taking a bit of a reduction, he's currently sitting at 28.3 FanGraphs wins. And so there was always a discrepancy between Baseball Reference WAR and FanGraphs WAR with Xander Bogaerts' Baseball Reference, because their defensive calculation is different. Really had him quite far ahead of FanGraphs, and so I'm biased. I'll just say go look at Baseball Reference for him, but still a player that came up at the right time and started producing right away. He's been about the best offensive shortstop in the league for like the last 4 or 5 years. As far as the defense comes, we know his troubles. They keep trying to move him over to second base, and so this is where that reduction is coming from. But he was tracking before, and now he's still tracking. He's still on the pace here, and so with Xander, I'm not changing my thoughts on him a whole lot here. He's still well on the track. So if he misses a season or starts to really decline and diverge, I'll change my mind. But he continues to track really, really well. This hasn't done a whole lot for him. But again, with Xander, go look at Baseball Reference. It'll look even better here. So, all right, that's what I got for you. Check out the link if you want to see the full list and see a little more in-depth on the thought process on why they made the change. But that's as far as I can get you. So thanks for watching, and have a great rest of the day. Bye now.